I'm Robin McIntyre. Many students will be protesting a speaker here at Sanford Hall later tonight. Stay tuned to learn why.
I'm Natalie Wickstrom here at the Athens-Clarke County Library, where students who attended the March for Our Lives in Washington, D.C. will be sharing their experiences with the Athens community.
I'm Sabrina Burse. Find out how a student visit to Grady's broadcasting class can help some students with summer learning loss.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady News Source.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Grady News Source. I'm Raven Rice.
And I'm Bethany Bell.
Students at the University of Georgia are protesting what they think is an alt-right speaker who will make an appearance tonight. The founder of Turning Point USA will be speaking at the university tonight. Many people label him as an alt-right and are upset that he is coming to speak here. Reporter Robert McIntyre tells us more about the event and controversy around it.
Turning Point USA's founder, Charlie Kirk, is labeled by many as alt-right. Others call him a patriot.
He's just very much proud to be an American.
That's Erin Cook, the president of Turning Point USA's University of Georgia chapter. Cook organized Kirk's speaking at UGA. She says having Kirk come speak here has always been a dream of hers.
I think he is a good articulator of ideas, and I think what he has to say matters.
Kirk founded Turning Point USA in 2012. The group is a nonprofit organization. Its mission is to educate students about the free market and limited government. Cook says that although they are conservative, they are not directly linked to a political party. Many students are protesting Kirk speaking at UGA because they believe he is alt-right. UGA student Hannah Mason says Kirk spews hate and ignorance.
A lot of his ideologies are just rooted in literally facts that are not true.
Mason says Kirk thinks his talks are successful if there are a lot of protesters who show. Mason says her and her friends bought tickets to the event, but they do not plan on going. She says she believes in free speech, but wants Kirk to know he is not welcome here. The Democratic Socialists of America say they'll have a few protesters that will be outside the event, handing material out. Kirk does not consider himself alt-right.
College campuses have become a place where the administrators and the elites, they want everyone to look different but think the same.
Protesting scheduled speakers at Georgia public universities could soon result in punishment for the students involved. Governor Nathan Deal has until May 8th to either sign or veto the bill that would cause this. Robin McIntyre, Grady News Source.
The event is being held at Sanford Hall in room 213 at 7 p.m.
Athens teens are bringing national activist movements back home. The students are sharing their experiences from Washington, D.C.'s March for Our Lives at the Athens-Clarke County Library this evening. The Athens anti-discrimination movement sponsored over a dozen students to make the trip from Athens to D.C. They're sharing how activist movements like the March for Our Lives can inspire people in their own community. Reporter Natalie Wickstrom is live at the Athens-Clarke County Library where the Athens anti-discrimination movement's Teen Social Justice Meetup is happening. Natalie, tell us more about this event.
Behind me, where students who attended the march in D.C. are sharing their stories of how it affected them. Jadarius Jacquet, one of the students who is reading an original poem about the march, spoke to me about his experience in D.C.
It was life-changing.
Jadarius Jacquet, on the right, is an Athens native who had only been outside of Georgia once before heading to march in D.C. He says participating in the March for Our Lives taught him the importance of being a part of movements that can help make a difference in the community.
After the trip to Washington, D.C., including me, I want my people of the Athens community to get more involved in their community and stay involved inside of the community, because that's the only way we're going to make change.
Mocha Jasmine Johnson, the founder and president of the Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement, organized and fundraised for 17 kids and 5 adults to road trip up to D.C. Johnson says that she was inspired by the activist push by young people in the wake of the Parkland school shooting.
After that happened, I decided, hey, what's the best thing that we can do? Let's try to take these kids to Washington, D.C. so they can actually be a part of the experience and also be a part of history. And maybe if they see, those young people stand up and speak out, it will motivate them more to believe that they can do it too.
Johnson says she was incredibly moved by how quickly the Athens community came together to raise money for their trip. She says the trip was a blessing to her and her students.
Because you are either with us
The workshop will be held until 6 p.m., so head on over here and participate while you still can. Reporting live from the Athens Clarke County Library, I'm Natalie Wickstrom with Grady News Source.
Thank you, Natalie.
UGA's President Jerry Moorhead is now getting involved in the Blue Cross Blue Shield and Piedmont healthcare dispute. President Moorhead sent a letter to the presidents of Blue Cross Blue Shield and Piedmont Healthcare yesterday expressing his disappointment that the two companies were not able to work out their dispute for a new contract by their April 1st deadline. Thousands of university system employees are at risk of paying for their health care out of pocket. Piedmont is now considered an out-of-network provider for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Georgia Insurance. Moorhead says, on behalf of the nearly 10,000 faculty, staff, and retirees of the University of Georgia who depend on your provision of health care and insurance for themselves and their dependents, I urge you to resolve this matter and reach a contract resolution without further delay. Faculty, staff, and retirees who are already receiving continuing care at Piedmont Healthcare Provider can request continuation of their care at the in-work network coverage prices. You can find more information and the form and list of treatments that qualify for your continuation of care at our website at GradyNewsSource.com.
Early today, the University of Georgia Police Department announced that one of its officers is a finalist for the police chief position. Captain Wes Huff is one of the two finalists who will replace retiring UGA Police Chief Jimmy Williamson. His candidate presentation is Thursday at 9:30 in the Tate Theater. The name of the second candidate will be released on Thursday afternoon.
It's been a couple of weeks since the hybrid buses have been traveling through Athens. Coming up, we'll show you what the effects have been on the environment and how buses have reduced carbon dioxide emissions.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Is your family in need of more quality time together?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Nature is best enjoyed together. So bring the whole family to discover all the bonding and stress-reducing benefits parks and forests have to offer. Visit discovertheforest.org and trade in phone time for family time.
Birds, squirrels, chipmunks, grass, worms, bugs, trees, rocks, and other objects in nature cannot talk. If you'd like to have a conversation while visiting nature, you will need to bring humans along. We strongly recommend starting with your family.
Na 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 na, I love you so. I love you, I love you. La 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 la, la 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 la.
We're here.
Yay!
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Have you ever found a great deal online?
Yeah, sometimes they have some great deals on apartments and furniture. Why?
Well, have you ever wondered why some cities have more scams than others when it comes to trading or selling?
No, I never really thought about it.
Well, some local law enforcement offices monitor these sites for criminal activity. Reporter Mara Brock spoke with law enforcement on how to keep people safe before they buy.
Have you ever found an apartment or a piece of furniture on a site like Craigslist that is almost too good to be true? Like this one, a $600 a month, 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot apartment. Here around Athens, our law enforcement has stepped up and will periodically go through sites like this, like Craigslist, and flag these as scams.
Recently, more police forces are warning residents about these types of civil exchange sites. Unfortunately, some people have fallen for these scams. Shannon Little Johnson is one of those people.
Out, I think it was something like $800, somewhere around there, $800, $1,000. And so I contacted law enforcement about it and sent them the check.
Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith said in an email to Grady News Source that they had an issue with scams. Smith says that the Property Crime Unit periodically checks these sites, but not all the time. Smith says they offer their offices so that people can meet up at the sheriff's office for exchanges of goods in order to feel safer. Some people are afraid to use these sites because of their reputation of scams, stolen personal information, and money. 19-year-old David Kwan Brown, a mechanical engineering major, is one of those people.
Facebook Marketplace, I think that's what they call it, for furniture. And I usually would like to go to look at it before I purchase it, but on Amazon or eBay, I would just purchase it online without having to see.
We reached out to the Athens Police Department, who declined to comment on what it does to combat these issues. For Grady News Source, I'm Mara Brock.
Police say you should be on the lookout for online scams. Do not send any money or personal information prior to seeing the merchandise. And check other websites that post rentals online just to double check. Hybrid buses are the latest addition to Athens-Clarke County Transit. The buses are bigger, eco-friendly, and more energy efficient. Some passengers say they are a better way to travel. Reporter Amber Shep has a follow-up report on how well they're working.
Back in February of this year, Athens-Clarke County replaced several of its older buses with 12 hybrid electric buses. The technology used on the buses is expected to reduce greenhouse gases by 15%, is 2 times more efficient, and emits fewer emissions of harmful gases such as nitrogen oxide. The buses also have better wheelchair accessibility. Jeff Montgomery, the Public Information Officer for Athens-Clarke County, said that there are other features to the bus that make them more efficient than older models.
So there's a lot of different aspects to them. They're easier to clean because of the way that the seats are made out of a plastic versus a cloth-based seat. So there's a lot of various efficiencies and improvements that are part of the bus that are more than just the hybrid part of it, although the hybrid is certainly one of the biggest keys to it.
East Broad Street near downtown Athens, one of the many stops of the Athens Transit hybrid buses. I tried speaking to one of the bus drivers, but they were unavailable for further commentary.
Dennis Jordan, an Athens resident and frequent passenger of Athens Transit, says he enjoys riding the newer buses a lot.
Bigger and more room.
Montgomery also says that Athens-Clarke County Transit will have more hybrid buses sometime next year. Amber Shep, Grady News Source.
For more information on the hybrid buses and future plans for Athens-Clarke County Transit, visit accgov.com.
Clark Central High School is hosting its second annual Maker Fest on April 15th. Maker Fest is a showcase that gives students and members of the community the opportunity to show off their invention and creativity skills. Clark Central's media specialists say that this year we can expect to see exhibits of everything from cosmetics to robotics.
But last year we had close to 100 booths of different students or groups of students or community volunteers that showed off their wares.
The showcase will take place in Clark Central's Media Center courtyard, and presenters will include students kindergarten through 12th grade in Clark County schools.
I think it's important because a lot of our students, you don't realize what kind of talent they have until they can show it off here. And these are all students that, you know, maybe they're not a football player or something like that, but they just have such wonderful talent. We're amazed.
Maker Fest begins at 2 o'clock on April 14th and is free to anyone who would like to attend.
I'm Shakira Speaks, bringing you Grady News Source Sports. It was a championship-filled weekend. I have more for you after the break.
Oh, thank you. Did you see anyone to wrap up? You okay? Thanks for helping us. No problem.
anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
I love
Can we get strawberries?
Okay.
And now, sports.
I'm Shakira Speaks with your Grady News Source Sports. They came, they saw, and they conquered a national championship. The Villanova Wildcats defeated the Michigan Wolverines 79-62 behind Dante DiVincenzo's 31 points, including this three-pointer right here. He had 4 more after that. Now watch right here. He gets past the defender and lays it in. Jalen Brunson's on the side, works the defender. DiVincenzo gets around and slams it home. A little emotion for you. He hits another three-pointer right here and gives a wink to the camera. He was on fire. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks in the win. Now get this, in every win during the tournament, the Wildcats left with a double-digit win. The last team to do that was the North Carolina Tar Heels in 2009. The UGA equestrian team is also trying to win a national championship on April 18th after it brought home another SEC championship over the weekend. Head coach Megan Borning says the feeling was indescribable.
Walking to that arena, it was just totally confident. I knew we had this, and what an incredible feeling just to start off and continue to maintain and to say, this is ours today.
Borning says that they don't have any corrections to make, but they just want to keep the same mindset.
But we have to maintain that confidence, that enthusiasm, day 1 to day 4 of the national championship.
The team travels to Waco, Texas on April 18th, where Borning says their biggest competition is Texas A&M and Auburn. UGA heads outdoors for track, and the Madison County Middle School boys and girls track and field team just finished their season. The team earned another championship on Saturday, marking their 3rd consecutive championship for both teams. Fun fact, the girls team has not lost a meet in 3 years. That's a lot of wins, and that's it for Grady News Source Sports. I'm Shakira Speaks.
Good evening, I'm Brittany Stokes, and I'm going to bring you your weather update for Northeast Georgia and tell you about the possibility of rain moving in this week. Coming up next.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince. They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
And now, the weather.
Good evening, my name is Brittany Stokes and I'm here to bring you your Northeast Georgia weather updates. We're going to be seeing cooler temperatures, potentially a wet week, and the pollen. Alrighty, we're going to have a low of 61 degrees overnight with some possible showers and thunderstorms after 3 a.m. tonight. And for tomorrow, the high is going to be at 67 degrees and showers are likely in the morning and possibly some thunderstorms. And the winds are going to be between 10 and 15, but could get as high as 25 miles per hour. So it could be a windy day. Alrighty, and for that 5-day forecast, Wednesday is going to be a pretty rainy day. So bring out that rain jacket for a high of 67 degrees. And Friday is going to be the nicest day at 70 degrees. It's going to be a little bit cloudy. And you could be seeing some rain on Saturday as well. And the pollen, spring means pollen, so the pollen scale is out of 12, and today's level is an 11, which is very high, and tomorrow we'll be seeing an 8.2, which is medium to high. I'm Brittany Stokes, and that's your weather update.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends. Come on in, help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Attention travelers. Next Tuesday, a major power outage will cause complete chaos throughout the city. Food, water, and phone service will be in short supply. There will likely be panic citywide. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Recent efforts to reshape healthcare legislature has sparked students and local residents' interest in understanding Congress. Anthony Madonna from UGA Department of Political Science spoke about how a bill becomes a law in UGA's Special Collections Library this afternoon. He presented the 9 steps of the process behind passing a bill. The audience ate their lunches and drank coffee as they learned about the complex legislative system. At the end, Madonna opened the floor for questions. Madonna says weekly lunch and learn sessions are important for the general public in all political climates.
ways. Congress has gotten more complicated, and so it's useful to be able to kind of explain to the general public, here's what they're doing, here's why they're doing it, that kind of thing.
The next Civic Knowledge and Civic Power Luncheon will be held next Tuesday.
Graduation is about 5 weeks away for the University of Georgia, and graduation for Clark County schools trails shortly after that. Graduation rates have increased over 10% since 2013 in the Clark County School District. We wanted to take a look at the numbers. In 2013, the district saw a 69% graduation rate. In 2014, the rate rose to 71.3%. 2015, the rate shot up to 80.3%. And in those last 2 years, those rates have remained pretty steady. Grady News Source tried to reach out to the superintendent and associate superintendent for comment, but we have not gotten a response. Grady News Source reporter Sabrina Burr spoke to Superintendent Demond Means last week. He says the district is focusing on college and career readiness.
Summer is just around the corner. Daily routines change for some people, but for some, it can be difficult to plan their next meal. The Jackson County School District has a summer feeding program that gives students free meals and fills in that gap. Reporter Sabrina Burrs tells us more.
They may do sports.
Fifth graders listen very carefully while a journalism professor talks about different career paths. Oconee County elementary school teacher Joanna Wiggins says this trip to the newsroom will help students decide what path they want to take.
I think it's just important for them, even though they're only in fifth grade, to start thinking about their future.
I see my shadow. Students learned about different camera and newsroom equipment. But with summer creeping up, Wiggins says some students forget what they learned during the summertime.
We have seen students drop from where they left off at the end of fourth grade to where they start off at the beginning of fifth grade.
This summer learning loss is called Summer Slide. Fifth grade teacher Greg Julian says summer trips to national parks or even college campuses can help.
I think some students are going to do extremely well simply because they were here today.
Some of the students learned a little bit about how our newscast works and how you can sit here and end up here.
So what happens is when the anchor is reading,
parents can help enroll their children in a summer learning camp like one offered through UGA. It's called Camp Dive. It stands for Discover, Inquire, Voice, and Explore.
I think we have some future bankers, journalists, and maybe even law enforcement before the weekend comes.
Julian says every step students make on campus is a step in the right direction. Sabrina Burse, Grady News Source.
Orientation is April 10th at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. To share information about the program and sign up to be a host site. Quality basic education could be fully funded for the first time since 2002. Discussion on this big budget was held by legislatures last week, sign day. Grady News Source reporter Ayanna Craig is live in the newsroom.
The QBE Act was put into place to give students a quality basic education for every student in Georgia. The law may improve funding, causing a significant increase in the level of state and local support. This new budget will give QBE $500 million more than last year for schools in Georgia. Go to GradyNewsSource.com for more information.
That's all we have for today. I'm Raven Rice.
And I'm Bethany Bell. Don't forget to check out our social media and website for updates. Thank you and good night.
Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. and finally feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I'm Ferdinand. You look at me and think big. You think scary, but I'm a little misunderstood. Sorry, I almost killed you. We've all been misunderstood. You're not a fighter.
I don't understand that at all.
Kids with learning and attention issues like dyslexia and ADHD are misunderstood too. Take the time to understand.
Best plan ever!
With the right support, everyone can reach their full potential because you can't judge a bull by his cover. Learn more at understood.org.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Getting that college education, what are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else? Or will you dare do something different? Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills. The smarts? Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget. That'd be cool. Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself? What are you gonna make of me?
This is the Grady News Source post-show critique.
Hello and welcome to your Tuesday post-show critique. I'm Brian Gierach, your SPM today. On our side, it was a little choppy. I'm not gonna lie. At the end, the A block was actually pretty clean. Not gonna lie. Just a few things to go over. When you are, says something about slugs. When you're dropping stuff on the small tree, please make sure that the title of your story should match what you drop in the file that you drop in small tree. That way it's just so much easier to find. Next, we had an old story starter in there for the sports block. I just sent out a reminder, just like, hey guys, we're using the 3D story starters, not the old story starters. There was a whole conundrum with the UGA track VO. Apparently, Shakira dropped in the wrong place, and somehow ended up to us.
Isn't it amazing at this point of the semester we're having those issues?
Yes, so please drop stuff in the right place. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Well, we got to watch a bunch of guys jump around.
Huh?
That's what that video was.
Okay, so back to what I was saying. That was just the VO. And that got dragged to the show because it was in super clips first off, but also somehow it was not exported. It was edited, but it wasn't exported. So that's we're not quite sure what happened there.
Okay.
So like I said, there was confusion. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Casey. She was your director today to talk about her
director. One point about directors, you are saying like take 6. You need to physically, mentally do standby codes, all the directors. We're not doing this. And that will help you mentally, in addition to setting everybody up for what they're doing. You're kind of catching it at the last minute. You know what I mean? You need to set yourself up by doing standby cues. Standby camera 2, take camera 2.
Yes, that's completely on me. Also, I get very wrapped up in the heat of the moment, so if I snapped at anybody, I apologize. Don't take it personally. It's just who I am. I hope you know that from working with me, that I love each and every one of you.
Pookie.
Especially you. Just kidding. Okay, so the first mistake that I had was I missed the VO in the B block tees. That's totally on me. It was there. It was in the right place. I just completely forgot to do it, and that's on me. Let's see, what else do I have? The
theme as well.
The what?
B block tees did not have any theme under it.
Yes, and I that was my bad. I should have cued
I know.
audio. As long as we're on the same page. The E9 built a law of VOSAT. I messed up the punching with the TriCaster. Again, completely on me. It was all dropped in the same place. And then the scripting in the E block was a little wonky. What we had gone over in the rundown meeting was different from the cues in the prompter. So y'all did a great job of adjusting to that, but maybe that was communication error on my end.
Do we know, is the prompter off? What was the deal with that?
In the E block?
It was going, and then it just stopped. I'm not sure if she stopped it or she wasn't paying attention to where I was.
This is God's way of saying that's why we have scripts in front of us, and you end up recovering somewhat from that.
Yeah, it's still I'm not
rough.
very good at looking down and looking back up. So I tried, but it didn't really.
Can you
great.
stop there for a minute, looking down and looking back up, by the way? One of the things when Raven started the show, and you guys are all doing this because you end up going over there, and what happens is when you turn this way to look at the second camera, you're on a 2-shot to begin with, you should be looking at each other, by the way. You did that okay, but it could have been better. But when you turn to a second camera, your peripheral vision is better on the top and the bottom, so what happens is you kind of hunt, you do like, and that's what you end up doing. But if you sit there and start on that camera and come down and break that eye contact, come down and then come back up on the other camera, you'll come straight up on it. And it's less awkward. It's a less awkward moment because it always looks like, where am I supposed to look until you get set up? Okay. It's not you. I've seen 87 people do it so far this semester. Okay, sorry.
That's all I've got. So thank you for being patient with me.
One last thing for me. Can we, for future days, can we try not to make changes at 4:30 to the rundown? I know that like a lot's going on, but like we have our rundowns. That's why we have a rundown meeting, is so that we make sure everything is set.
Yeah, I agree. You would do it in yours, but what happens is if you do it and you change page numbers, then everybody's off.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure everybody's on the same page and say, I'm adding A10. Okay, and then they can write that in, but it's all on the base thing. If you add in A10, then what's going to happen is everything else is going to be off for the rest of the show.
It was good communication between like they made sure like to come
it's
tell
always
us.
Communication.
Well, no, I'm saying like they did good by telling us they printed off new rundowns for us, but like 4:30, like that's
But
a little.
you don't want to be thinking about
that's
it.
a little too late for us to be like, okay,
and that's
let's,
the point. You only want to be thinking about what's hinky, the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say.
No, it's a good point.
So, cool.
Okay,
Thank
let
you.
me do a quick overview and I'll go into specifics. We're about 1:30 over on the show. You get locked into the point, and that was, we had something weird like timing during the day, setting this stuff up, because Jamia had the 2-minute commercials in, because I checked and we talked about it, and then they went away, and I have no idea why. She doesn't either. But then we have to go back and rearrange some of the timing, but that means a lot of effort gets kind of wasted because you're not sort of on the same path. I think we added stories we should have, like the police captain being one of the finalists for the chief. Did you guys know about the active shooter at YouTube? Did you?
I did.
And did you decide to do anything with it or not to do anything with it?
Well, I was already concerned about my time because earlier, like you said, I got messed up kind of when the commercial and disclaimer got deleted. So that really put me behind because I was trying to fix my time with that and also trying to add
And then
police
that
stuff.
pesky news got in the way.
Well, not that, but I just felt like it was in California. It wasn't really
No, I think
relevant
that's-
to
yeah.
us. So I wasn't.
Yeah, I would
should've
argue the
included it.
first reason isn't legitimate. The second one absolutely is. We had no idea how many people were hurt or what was going on. I don't think it has that much of an impact in our area, and I agree with the decision not to use it. But you got to be really careful. I've seen reporters fired because they would put breaking news in their, or producers fired because they wouldn't put breaking news in their show. They're going like, I have a nice clean show. This is not beating you up. This is it. I don't want to screw up the show with this breaking news. Not so much. If you went to Atlanta, you'd find out that probably hang out in the control room, half of their shows are produced kind of on the air live because they just adapt, and you just have to get used to that. But I agree with that. I think most of the editorial decisions were right. I think the Kirk speech, it's going on right now. It's been a controversial political subject forever. We'll talk more about it in a minute. The March for Our Lives is an obvious segue out of that. Piedmont Healthcare, we just have to update. It's just too important to too many people. It's a big deal. And we have to stay on that no matter what. And we got all that stuff in the A block. I thought that was fine. But some specific comments for individual stories. I'm sure you'll be awaiting those with anxiety. But first, Miss Producer.
Okay, all right. So honestly, I feel like most of the mistakes from the show was from me just because I had so much issues with scripting, like the
Well,
disclaimer.
how many shows have you produced before?
None.
Right.
But I mean, so that put me behind a lot because at that point I was trying to fix my time and decide what stories I should add and take away, and also updating the crew, just making sure that they were okay. Overall, I think the quality of the show was okay. There's just a few things
And
that
you
I wanted.
started off really, really light.
Yeah.
That quickly went away.
Just overall, when you guys are like going out to get interviews and stuff, I want to reiterate that when you're going out to set up your interviews, just try and press a little bit harder. And really, honestly, you have to finesse. Like half the times when I get my interviews, like I just show up somewhere, not necessarily with my camera, but I might just go be like, hey, like I called or emailed, I haven't got a response. Is it possible for me to do an interview? Because there were a lot of times where I had to say like, well, you know, ask this person or ask someone else. Or for example, even with Amber's story, she said she couldn't get anyone. So I was like, well, you know what, just stand by the bus stop, grab someone at the bus stop. But even then, think about the quality of your interviews as well. Like with Amber's, yours, we couldn't really understand what he was saying. So his interview was kind of pointless at that point. So if you would have got someone who was
Completely agree.
Who was much clearer, it would have been a stronger interview.
Or a mic on you when you're doing a stand-up. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Also, for Thursday, let's not try and get as many phone interviews. Like with Amber, I didn't even know you had a phone interview. So if you guys do, if it gets to the point where you have to get one, let me know, because I would have preferred if you just had an interview with a bus driver or a passenger. Also, just be careful on your edits. I saw a few black frames in some of the stories. And
that was one of them.
Be sure to use your tripods. There are a few shaky shots. And also just to pay attention to like headroom.
The world's worst pan of the Barrow County Courthouse. That was not yours, right? You shot it? Oh my God! We'll look at it specifically. I really liked it. Anyhow.
Okay. But yeah, just make sure you're paying attention to like headroom and your packages as well. That's pretty much all I have.
Okay. This digital producer.
Okay, so I thought we had a good day digitally. I think on the website we got 7 stories up, and a lot of them were pretty long and in-depth, which I liked. And I know both of my reporters, Ayana and Sabrina, were working for digital and broadcast, and I think they both did a really good job of handling both of those and also cranking out quality content. I really liked Sabrina's graphic. I'm glad we did the healthcare.
Boy, did that ever work. Where are you? What we talked about, 50 times better.
Yeah. I liked your healthcare package, and also I did a tweet about that, and it was getting a lot of attention. So I think it's good we covered it on so many different platforms because people really are interested in what's going on. So good day over here.
Okay, you know, almost every day when I start off at this point, I think opportunity lost. Just stuff that could be there and wasn't. But starting off with the good news, I thought the pre-tees looked better than almost anyone I've seen so far this semester. We had, for once, audio. You can hear what people are saying. B, they didn't have the world's longest sound bites that I would be bored out of my mind instead of getting involved in it. And I thought both of the reporters justified the stand-ups, which made good. You had a little blue in yours, I noticed, but not enough that distracted me. I thought that was really well done. The Charlie Kirk speech is one of those stories where we're going to make somebody angry no matter what we're going to cover. I thought it was a well-balanced story. I'm glad we had essentially both sides on this. I think that's another opportunity where if we took a look at that, first, the end of it was what we talked about. I thought that was a good use of video. Basically, we talked about they had kind of crummy video for full screen. And we had talked about using somebody else's video before. And well, let's start off with this. Basically, I like this girl. We got some cutaways to her. I think we could have walked her around or had her talk to you, had her talk to other people outside journalism, and that's okay, but I would not backlight. Did these guys, and I'm glad to see all this stuff. I thought all that made sense, and it went back to her. She's obviously outside. I can tell that. I'm an observant guy. But that's okay. I also would have walked her down the sidewalk or done something like that because I got tired of looking at her thing. I like the T-shirts. I think that made sense. The camera was steady for most of the stuff. Thank you very much. These are places like this where somebody's out in a thing or an opportunity to get natural sound. That was kind of a weird shot, I thought, of her. But I thought the soundbite was pretty good. And that she was in it's a little too tight, I think, in hers, and we needed balance. We had 2 sound bites. Granted, they were doing it from these people who are against it. I thought, see, that's another point. It could be a little more level, but this is one of those ones where you get natural sound and you're going to another element. Stop talking. Come over here, Bill. You know, just that much, just for some kind of flavor of it. This is what I was talking about of framing this. Obviously is promoting his speech, but this is the way he has set it up. So I think it's fairly clear it's his video. We're not basically, it's used as an example of part of what he's been promoting. And he had a little bit of Hannity on that, which I wish we hadn't used because that may be a copyright issue. It's Fox's stuff. Even if he steals it, that's his business. We're responsible for what we use. But I thought it was a pretty good package. I probably would have set her up a bit more. I said, walk her around. Who is she? Is she what kind of major is she?
Political science.
Political science? How old is she? She lives in your apartment?
I think the friend said she was a second-year junior.
Did you say it in there?
No, I didn't say that.
Right. Why not?
I didn't think it was relevant.
Yeah, but I think it is. I think getting to know these people a little bit and setting them up gives you an idea who they are and what they're doing. She's a junior. That just tells me that she's not a senior. I'm not being smart, but she's getting involved in college in the middle of it. I think these are little cues that help out this kind of stuff. Same thing with her, you know. Yeah, so I'm completely fine with that. March for Our Lives team, teens. Woo! Let me ask about that. That was one of the opportunities that Natalie had, especially at the end. I said, are we inside? Well, we were inside in front of a closed door. How come? Come on up here. Oh, calm down. This is television.
So the reason was the students started speaking at 5, and it wasn't like, oh, everyone's speaking. It was like someone is in front of a quiet room giving a practice speech where if I'm standing in the doorway giving my lead and tag with a big light on their face, they probably wouldn't have appreciated that. So I talked to the president of the Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement, and she was like, it would be better if you guys set up outside because there was no other place to set up that wasn't in that room.
Well, that's exactly the point. You're saying we're going to disturb and say, well, a lot of people are going to see this and it's going to be there. We can do it without disturbing you a heck of a lot. And what I think would have worked really well with that was we'll get to them in a minute, to the clips, but what would have worked really well with that was do the live shot at the beginning. So we're outside the meeting and some of it's going on. When you came back, and I would adjust this in the live shot when you're there, I said, let's take a peek inside the meeting and see what's going on right now and just walk into the thing and set that up and work it out with the crew that you're going to give people some kind of feel for it, make the piece shorter and let people see what's going on and warn them ahead of time that you're going to do that so it doesn't throw anybody off. But we had no sense for this meeting, for how many people were there, yet we were outside and we could have done that. That's kind of the point. With this guy, everything looks soft in your story. Do you guys notice it? Like, he's soft. Thank God they had a red wall though, because, you know, either that or a white wall.
Yeah,
she's soft.
I honestly, I don't know what happened. I was looking back in my package and I realized that the focus was just kind of weird. And I'm not going to make excuses. I guess I didn't turn it as far as I thought I did to focus it on them.
The god of camera did not smile on you today.
No.
More sacrifices on Thursday.
Okay. Also, just, I need glasses.
Oh,
I thought it looked
You
clear.
managed to shoot this. Do you think, for real?
No, I actually have a prescription that needs to be filled.
You managed to shoot this woman in front of both a white refrigerator and then like a white sink. Did you notice that? I thought some of that is some of the best footage, and I would have liked to seen it earlier, even with that. But what do you see the next time this woman comes up again? I would move that around so there's not that much wide stuff in here. That was the only video that these guys had? And I'm glad to see that kid in there to identify the two of them.
Yeah,
I'm looking for the second shot, because the second soundbite we had of that woman, it was in front of a sink.
I think it was a printer. I mean, it was her office. I don't think she would have it. It's fine. Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's a fridge.
Oh, yep, you're right. It's a fridge. I'm sorry. I got it. I was thinking that was a sink. What do I know? Okay. Yep. But I think it's good we identified this kid. We put him in there at the same time. One of the things that what happened when you checked with the school about the idea of that kid? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I have to pick the mic up again.
They just never responded, so I had to choose a different shot because I didn't want to risk it. So I called them and had to leave a voicemail.
So you guys know what's going on. We have this kid's 18. We have permission to use him. They had a 17-year-old. Natalie asked about us. Where do we keep our news releases, our talent releases? We don't have talent releases. We don't use them for any reason. We're First Amendment. It protects us from doing that. School districts usually use it. So I had asked her to check with the school district so they knew this was in a class. I think what she did is the 17-year-old kid was not necessarily necessary in the story. He was just an element of it. So I think she did the right thing and took him out of it. I'm trying to, okay. The Piedmont Healthcare Systems. If you have that video, what we did with that story was it almost worked, but then it didn't, because we had the zoom out of the part of it that you're trying to read, but it only was up for about half of the time before we went to another shot. You'll see it in a minute.
Yeah. Which I like read through it a lot of times and it worked pretty well with me, but I think Raven just reads a lot faster than like my speed.
Yeah, and what will happen in when you're working in a real newsroom with the same people every day, unlike us who rotate every week, is by the second week you'll know that if you read it for 30, that they're going to read it in 26, and you'll get a handle on exactly where to hit this stuff. Yeah, I think this is a very important story that we should cover. Did you check with St. Mary's? I asked you to check with St. Mary's.
Yeah, I called. Like I said, I called and they just kind of kept bouncing me from department to department, and I'd like wait for it to ring, and then they hang up on me. And then they said they finally got the PR person's number, and then she's like, I think all of them are in a meeting. They're not answering, and so she's like, call in like an hour.
I spent half of my career with that. The PR people who are supposed to be dealing with us are in a meeting deciding how to deal with us.
Which it took me like over an hour to even get their number. Like I couldn't find it online, and no one, like they just like literally were bouncing me from different departments, but not to PR. And like when I first called, I like straight up asked for them to like put me in their PR.
Yeah, hospitals in general are not the most cooperative in the world.
Yeah, but and then I left a message like an hour after the lady told me to, because I was maybe there at lunch or something, and I just never got back.
Well, and part of what we do is our due diligence. Professor Shumway and I were talking. You know, if we try to called St. Mary's 15 times and nobody returned, or they hung up on us 10, put that in the story.
Which I like thought about that, but then I felt like the big update for it was the letter.
The letter, yeah.
So I like that thought.
Right, and that's no, that's a completely valid point, that we don't want to make our TT contest become part of the story. If we're trying to get information and it's a significant part of the story, then it counts. If not, then I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a good judgment. Okay, Craigslist cops. Okay, let's do the intro first. I was reading that intro, and I'm thinking, this is going to look dorky. And you know what? No, not that part. That part, and I like the shot on that. Hold on, let's stop that video for a minute. It was the anchor intro. Oh, Mary, what do you think? Oh, I don't know. Do you care about this? No, I really don't care. It was question upon question upon question, to the point of, what the hell are they doing anchoring? What are you doing? Because you also asked a question. So within the anchor intro and the stand-up, You're doing nothing but asking questions. Our job is to answer them, not ask them. It sounds like it's conversational, but I don't think that one worked. We did it last week, worked like a champ. I don't think it worked at all today. You guys look at it. You had kind of a double effect of questions. They ask questions, then you ask questions. And I'm sitting here thinking, so what am I watching this for? Because I should be getting answers. Same deal with and I thought this worked out fine. I think if you can't get, it's about Craigslist stuff. I think this is a good example. I noticed it's in Savannah. I did not want that apartment anyhow.
I was just basing it.
No.
Basing it off like other cities, just because like
Yeah.
the conversation I had to like kind of got me started on this story was a matter of
Yep.
Athens doesn't have that big of an issue.
I don't know if you caught that when it went through, but I caught it on the air with the Oconee County Sheriff's going like, how stupid are you? You're a moron if you do this stuff. I probably would have stopped and highlighted that. We're not saying anything, but you know, they're trying to use a glib way to inform people that they're not, you know, that they should be use their brains a little bit more, which is fine. You know that graphic that came up, we ran it twice, right? Well, this is, wait a minute, oh my God, look at, oh, thank God, what's over there? Oh, this way, that's fence, I want to see if, where does that fence end? I want to get to that fence. That fence is over there somewhere. If I walk far enough, the hell are we panning there for?
Well, the first.
But at least it was jerky. Why did you do that?
Video to what you wrote, the parking lot. So that's why. I knew that was the whole point, because when we were talking, like the email says specifically like they can meet in the parking lot and exchange goods.
Then have people coming in. Wait till somebody arrives in the parking lot. Have a car arriving. Put the car on a tripod. This is kidding aside. This is an unmotivated pan. It just doesn't go anywhere, and they're really, really long. So you're wondering, it's going to hit something important sooner or later, you know. I would do shots of cars that they're in a foreground, something's in a background, or hopefully wait for something to move because television's moving pictures. But the rule is you cannot create motion. You can capture motion. So you're trying to create it, and there's nothing there. There's nothing to pan to on one side. There's nothing to pan to on the other side. You would have been better off with doing 5-second shots, 4-second shots of different shots of the parking lot. It would have looked a lot better, a lot cleaner. Kidding aside, it would. Can you back that up? You know that graphic you'd used twice, right?
The graphic for hers, I was trying to find, that was unfortunately the thing that I did the last second that I had before we were able to drop it. I was trying to find the one that I think actually Ashley had used, or Amber, not.
Bill?
No, that Amber had used, and for some reason I couldn't find it under templates, which is one that you're able to actually use for the whole thing. So I kind of just had to copy and duplicate.
But you used it twice.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't let you extend it. So I had to duplicate it and like do it.
Okay, now I know what you're doing. Okay, getting an example is really the best way to do this. And you got this woman, but she wasn't really kind of identified enough to me. But to answer your question, if you get that graphic and there's motion in it, and the way to handle that is freeze the last frame. Once you freeze the last frame, you can make it a minute or 150 minutes long. Okay, but that means the motion's going to go and then it's going to stop, and that's a natural thing. But if running it twice, it looks like it's running it twice. So that's how to fix that stuff. That one, and then it goes again. Or maybe that'd be the second time. Yeah, the other thing you do is do a shot stretcher.
That's what I was trying to do, and for some reason it wasn't working. Maybe I just didn't know, and again, it was last minute.
Okay, I'm going to run out of time here in a minute. That's why you're standing around, I know. Okay. But yeah, watch, the bigger thing is watch you set that up right. And it seems to me like it would be such a good opportunity to have the police explain what they do. What we started off with at the morning meeting, we started off saying, look, these guys are while everybody's talking about how Facebook and everybody's giving your information away, local police departments and sheriff's departments are trying to protect people and going into the internet, and then they don't want to talk about it. I don't understand the logic of that, but that's me, because we were impressed with their effort. That was the point of doing the story.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye.
Well, I got more to go.
Okay.